Hello. So in this video we are going to learn how to create an app that allows you to change some elements of the screen based on data that you have in the dataset. We're going to see how to build the dataset first, how to build this table in the data session of the Co.org App Lab. Then we are going to work with the design, how to create this design, and finally with the code that can be in text or in blocks. When you run it, the idea is that with using buttons to go forward or backward, you can change the elements on the screen. So let's get started. We have a blank app here and we're gonna go to the data. Here in the data we need to create a table, and we need to remember that this table name because we'll be used to connect the code with the data that will be presented in the design. So first let's create our table. Let's say that the table is my restaurant menu. When you add this table will come with only one column and not even name it. So you need to create your columns. Your columns is referring to the each of the elements that you want to change in your app. For example, the name, right? You also have the image, right? And you also have, for example, the price. Let's keep it short. Let's keep it with these elements only. Now here, if you want to add an item, let's say that I want to add a pizza, I will come and write pizza in quotation mark, because like this the program knows that you are talking about a text. Then the image need to be also in quotation line, and we are going to use the link. To do that, you're going to find the picture that you like, you're going to click on that, and you're gonna right click, copy image address, and you're gonna paste it here. You're gonna paste it within the quotation mark. You see, you need to have the quotation mark when you finish so that it doesn't give you any error, and you need to have the quotation mark when it's start as well. Now the price is supposed to be a number, right? But this is a test. Let's say that we say $10, right? If we click add row now, it's okay. If we instead just write 10 and save, it save it as a number. We have it as a number, and it's good because we want numbers here, right? Because it's price. You can do the same thing for your next item. You're just gonna click on add row and it will appear undefined. You just click on edit. For example, here undefined, you just click on edit and you will be able to add your other elements. Let's say that you want to add Coca-Cola or a soda and a salad, right? Like we saw in this exercise, right? In case that you already have your table in or your data set, right? In a table that you built already in Excel or as a CSV file, you can import it. For example, I built my table from the other app, right? So I can import it. I can come here, click import, select, right? And it will override this, and I will have all of the items that I want. Let's move on to the design. In the design, if we take a look of the idea, we want to have a text, we want to have a image, we want to have the text for the name here, right? And we want to have a text for the price. Sorry. Okay, and we want to have the two buttons, right? So let's go do that real quick. We want to have the two buttons, this button, this button. We want to have the text for the title, not input text but label, sorry. And we're gonna call this my menu. And we want to have the image, right? And you can resize it as you want. You can move it around as you want. You can change the text color as you prefer. Let's say I want this and I want to change this font size, right? You can do that. and we want to have the two labels for name, for name, product name, right? And for price, right? Okay, so now that we have those two, we have the image. Even if you cannot see it here, the image is present. Here is the image. Now let's put a default image, just because we want to be able to see something when we run it at the first time before we even click on the buttons, because when you open the menu you want to see the first item, right? So I will go back to my table. I will copy this, what is inside of the quotation, which is the link for the pizza, right? I will go back to design, and in the image I will put that link. Now you can see the image, right? When I run, I just see the image, the price, and the name. I'm not able to change it yet, and I have my buttons here that I can click, but nothing happened. Let's reset and go back to design. Here, my buttons, I can call them so that the user know with a we can call them with a useful name, so the user knows what they are for. Now let's go to the code part. In the coding part, what we want to do is to be able to change this image all the time, be able to change this name and the price. And we want to do so when these buttons are clicked. Cool? So the first thing, and we can decide if we want to use test or block, but the first thing that we want to do is to add the event of the button, because when I click the button is when the things will happen, right? So you can have here on event for the button, right? So on event, oh, but what is the name of the button? This is where if we put our mouse here on top, it will say, oh, it's button 3. Okay, on event button 3 is click, I want to do something. What we want to do is to be able to connect to the table that we have, and get the values from the table, get the image, get the name, and get the price, right? To do that, we need to talk to the data session, and there is something called read records. So if I put read records before that, before the event, because the event will always be listening, and when you click it, in this case, it will happen regardless of where you are here. So read records, we don't need the majority of these things, so let's just remove it, or let's just put it here so that you can reuse some of these elements and remove the others. Here what you want is your table name. What is your table name? Oh, my table was this. Okay, you can copy that, go back to the code, and here write your table name. Okay, you need to have the records position. So you need a variable for this that just change for element 1 to element 2 to element 3, back to element 2, back to element 1, and so on. That's why it's a variable, because it changed, right? So we want to create a variable and put it at the beginning. What is my variable? Let's call it position. And what is the beginning? Well, let's call it position 1. So it's a start with the first element of the records. The records are all of these rows. So position 1, and what we have here to do is that we want to read the default one, which is the position 1, right? So how we do this? We're just going to be able to read the records, and inside of the records we want to name this image as the image in the position 1 of the table, and this name as the first one that is on the table in the price as well. So to do that, we're going to go to user interface control, and here we have set image URL. So when you put this, you can see, oh, what is this image? Image 2. So I can say image 2, and instead of having this, that is just to select one, right? That is only allow me to load, select from link of icon. I want to change this with the value that is here. That is within my table in the record in the position 1, 2, 3. I want to select the image here. I want to be able to select this column here. So I just want to be able to select this. Therefore, I will change this. I will delete all of that. So I want to write records in the position. This is how we access to it because it's a table. In this case will be like an array. Here position, because this is my variable that I just create that will be changing. So this will be record in 1, record in 2, record in 3, and so on. And then which table, which column of this table? Oh, I write a dot for referring for each of the column. Which column? Image. What we want is also to be able to change the name and the price. The same way that we set the URL, we're gonna set test. Set test here. Test what? Oh, this is label 3. Oh, label 3 to what? Look, the same that we did here. We just write record in position and that instead of image, now we want to get to the column that is product, that is where I have my name. So I just write product. Remember that you need to write records correctly. The same for the price. So I can even copy and paste this. If I am in text, I can do this, but you can just insert it again, no problem. I'm just doing this to be able to change label 4 to, instead of product, what we want to change is the price. I can go back to the blocks and you can see. If I run this now, let's see, it's taking a bit of time. Look, it says there Coca-Cola and price 1, which is, look, Coca-Cola, and we don't need to see me, Coca-Cola and price 1. That's okay. What we see here is that the test space that we have is not enough, so we're just going to here, we're just going to make it bigger and center it. When we run it now, look, Coca-Cola in 1. We're just gonna make the alignment to center. Coca-Cola and 1. Perfect. Now, we want this to be able to change when I click on event on the bottom, right? So we're just gonna move this inside, right? And we're going to put all of these 3 things inside of that. These are the defaults one, and the on event will be the one that we want to have when we click on the bottom. So I can copy these 3 things. If you are in blocks, you can enter them again. And I want to paste it here inside of this, right? So look, this is inside of the brackets. So I just have these 3 things here. I will move it to make sure that we understand that they are inside of the event. But what happened is, you see they are inside. What happened is that I want to be able to set this, but I wanted to change it, right? When I click on next, I want the position that goes from 1, I wanted to change it to 2 and then to 3. So for this, I just need to change my variable value. So I need to say my variable that is called position will be now position plus 1. That is basically adding 1. And this will allow that this change. Let's see. When I run, it's Coca-Cola. When I click next, it goes to salad. Ta-da! That's perfect. Now, we just want to do the same thing for going backward, right? So it's basically the whole thing the same, but instead of adding 1, we subtract 1. Instead of button 4, we use button 3. Let's change it to text to be able to copy this. How do you know from where to where you want to copy? From here to when it finish. Here it tells you, if you click on the bracket, it tells you where it closed. So you need to copy all of this and paste it after that. So basically, on event that this happened, button what? Oh, this is button 3. On event that this happened, I want to say change this -1, and it will just load the same thing. You see? Now it looks a lot, but it's just the same thing, just changing one value. So let's run this again. Now when I click on previous, I can go back to pizza. When I click on next, it can go to salad or Coca-Cola. Cool. There are other logics that we can apply in order to make sure that when you get to the last element, it go back to the first one and it don't give you an error like this, you see? But it's okay, we can do that later. And you need to run it again once you have the error. And the other thing is to be able to change this in a more elegant way, but that can be also later, don't worry. So let's just recap. We create a table, we put our values that we would like to change. We create a design of these elements that we would like to change, and then we code them by reading the record first, reading the table, allow us to connect to the table, and changing the elements that we want to. Of course, this can be more fancy with functions and all of that, but we haven't get there yet in the class. So, cool. Bye-bye.